eternal, yet ever new. His advent and His proximity, His mystical leelas and His songs, every mischief and miracle a message memorable. Every pain and travail a precept enacted. As the bud blossomed to reveal 1,000 petals, it can only be said that the fragrance of the first few years was unique.
Thousands of years before, the great sage Vedavyasa, he sat very forlorn and apparently depressed. He had a worried look on his face. And this is something very surprising because Maharshi Vedavyasa is no ordinary soul. He is the one who has been considered as the instrument through which the world has received many of the sacred texts. In fact, he is also the author of the Mahabharata. A person of that stature and that nature, feeling low down and apparently depressed, this was what surprised Narada. Narada is the sage who keeps going around the three worlds, spreading the name of Narayana. And he asked him, "Oh revered sage, what is the matter? I really don't know what is my problem. I'm just not feeling happy. I'm just not feeling fulfilled." You are not feeling fulfilled? The kind of work that you have done, what you have achieved on earth, will not be rivaled and matched by anybody in the history. If you feel unfulfilled, then there is no hope for anybody on earth to feel fulfilled. Because anything that anybody does will not be even 1% of what you have done. Vedavyasa says, "That is very nice of you, Narada, to tell such kind words to me. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not so happy. I'm feeling very empty. I don't know why." Whatever might be our achievements in the intellectual domain, nothing will give us joy like singing the glories of the Lord. It is my humble suggestion that you also become the author of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Why don't you write the stories of Lord Krishna? And the legend goes that sage Vedavyasa accepted this suggestion, and once he began to live and relive the stories of Krishna, his heart erupted with bliss supreme, and that Ananda never left sage Vedavyasa ever in his life. And you know the beauty of the Lord? One demon he kills by tearing apart the mouth. The other he kills by ripping apart the breast. Another he dances on the head. Why Krishna had to kill different demons and different Rakshasas and Rakshasis in different manner? Krishna could have just willed them dead, right? Why does he have to do anything? In order to give joy to the devotees who will enjoy each and every aspect, the Lord too puts on the limitations of the human form and gives us variety. Variety is the spice of life. He gives us variety and does the same thing in a million ways. And he does a million things with one act.
In Swami's discourses, Swami poses a question. Avatarinchata yanutalo arthamemi. What is the meaning when you say the Lord incarnates in a form? Janulapai Priti Vatsalya Paratatoda వారి స్థాయికి దైవంబు భువిపై వచ్చు జీవ ప్రజ్ఞతో బాటుగా దైవ ప్రజ్ఞ. Out of love, out of the affection a mother has for her child, similar to such affection, the Lord takes a human form and comes to the level of the devotees. He comes in a form which is a mix of human as well as divine. But even the Lord, when He comes down in the human form, He yearns for the love of a mother. Even though He is the Lord who has come with the love of 1,000 mothers, He too yearns that, will not somebody love me like a mother would love her child? And that feeling was fulfilled by one very divine soul, and that is Mother Subbamma, known to the people of Puttaparthi as Karnam Subbamma. Karnam is supposed to be a title given to a person who is the head of the village. She was the first wife of the Karnam of Puttaparthi. And as Providence would have it, she was childless. And because of that, the Karnam married one more time, and the second wife was Karnam Kamalamma. She too played a very significant role in the life of the avatar. But no narration of Swami's childhood, or in fact no narration of Swami's life, would be complete without reference to Mother Subbamma. As we explained, Swami was born in the house of the Raju family, which was not very well off. But this Karnam Subbamma happened to be the neighbor of the Raju household. Even when we were students, we would go to the Shivalayam, and the house of Karnam Subbamma was still intact then. And we could see a window from the Shivalayam, and they would tell us that it was through that window that secretly Karnam Subbamma used to feed little Satyam. But why would she feed Swami secretly? Because Karnam Subbamma was a Brahmin by caste, and Swami was born a Kshatriya, considerably lower in caste. So it was taboo for a Brahmin woman to interact with a Kshatriya even if he was a child. But Mother Subbamma, out of her love for little Satyam, she would cook food, keep it aside, and silently, when nobody was watching, would call Swami and feed him secretly through this very window. And that is how this journey between this Divine Mother and this child started. And many, many times when Swami would speak about Subbamma, Swami would say, Subbamma was to Swami what Yashoda was to Krishna. She did not physically give birth to the avatar, but by all means, she played the role of a mother. And that was the fortunate soul that Subbamma was. Many years later, when some of the students came up with a Burrakatha on Mother Ishwaramma, after they performed, Swami asked them, but you did not mention Subbamma. What about Subbamma? So the next time when these people staged the same Burrakatha on Ishwaramma, they included a song on Subbamma.
కరణం సుబ్బమ్మ అమ్మా నువ్వు పెట్టని ఆభరణం అమ్మా ధరణిలోన నీకు కరణం సుబ్బమ్మ నగరు భరణంగా ఇచ్చినారు స్వామి ధన్యురాలివమ్మ కరణం సుబ్బమ్మ అమ్మా నువ్వు పెట్టని ఆభరణం అమ్మా ఆకలైన నీవు తినక స్వామి కోసమెదురు చూసిన యశోదవే యశోదవే నీవమ్మ అపరశబరి వైతివమ్మ ఆకలన్న వారికి అన్నము పెట్టి అన్నపూర్ణ వైతివమ్మ కరణం సుబ్బమ్మ అమ్మ నువ్వు పెట్టని ఆభరణం అమ్మ నువ్వు పెట్టని ఆభరణం అమ్మ.
Oh mother, even if you were hungry, you did not bother about it. You were only bothered about Swami's hunger. In the later years, it was not Swami's hunger alone, but you were even bothered about the hunger of all those devotees who came to Swami. And you definitely was that Yashoda to Krishna. And when this Burakatha was performed, Swami heard it. And at the end of it, Swami said, I told you still there is no Subhamma in the Burakatha. And the boys very humbly said, Swami, we sang one song. Only one song. Because Swami was expecting the entire Burakatha will be on Subhamma. Swami said, only one song. Then, with a very sympathetic and very pleading expression, Swami said, okay, at least sing that song one more time. So after the Burakatha was over, Swami made them sing that song one more time and relished and became emotional listening to that song one more time. And such was the soul this Subhamma was. And indeed, a very, very fortunate being.
And like Baizama of Shirdi times, she would carry in a basket, in a tiffin carrier, different food items and go in search of Swami. Swami, where are you? Where are you? Because you eat. And till Swami eats, she won't eat food. And she would go about like that. And Swami in the discourse mentions how he would actually taunt her.
కానీ స్వామిని వచ్చి చేర్చిన తర్వాత ఎవరి ముఖము చూచలేదు ఆమె.
But ever since she met Swami, she didn't care anymore.
తెల్లవారు లేచినది మొదలుకొని రాత్రి పరుండునంత వరకు కూడాను స్వామి పనులే స్వామి పనులే స్వామి పనులే.
Right from dawn to dusk, she attended all jobs, works associated with Swami.
నేను అప్పుడప్పుడు చెప్పకుండా ఎక్కడైనా బయటికి పోయినప్పుడు కొండలంతా తిరిగేటువంటిది పాపం ఆమె.
When Bhagavan left this place without telling anybody, she used to search for Bhagavan.
ఒక బ్యాగ్ లోపల
in a bag
ఒక టిఫిన్ క్యారీ పెట్టుకొని
with a tiffin carrier inside.
ఉప్మా, దోశ, వడ, ఇడ్లీ ఇవన్నీ చేర్చుకొని పెట్టుకునేటువంటిది పాపం.
With that carrier, upma, vada, idli, she was carrying that.
దోశ కూడా పెట్టుకునేటువంటిది,
including dosa.
అక్కడ పోతానే స్వామి ఏం తెచ్చావు అని అడిగితే నేను ఏమి చెప్పాలి? స్వామి మీకు ఏది ఇష్టమో అది తెచ్చాను.
Supposing if Swami asks, what is that you brought for me? Well, she should be in a position to say, Swami, whatever you relish.
నాకు దోశ ఇచ్చేసేయి అన్నాను.
Swami said, give me dosa.
దాన్ని ఒక తట్టలో పెట్టి నాకు అందించింది.
She served it in a plate and gave it to Bhagavan.
సుబ్బమ్మ, ఈ దోశ నాకు బాగలేదు.
Swami said, Subbamma, this dosa is not nice.
నాకు ఇడ్లీ పెట్టు అన్నాను.
I want idli.
ఇడ్లీ కూడా వడ్డించింది.
She served idli also.
నాకు ఈ ఇడ్లీ కూడా అక్కర్లేదు అన్నాను.
Swami said, I don't want idli now.
ఉప్మా పెట్టు అన్నాను.
Then I want upma.
ఉప్మా కూడా పెట్టింది.
She served upma now.
తెల్లవారు లేచినప్పటి నుంచి ఈ రకరకాల యొక్క పిండి వంటలంతా చేసి నా కోసం కాచుకొని ఉండేటువంటి సుబ్బమ్మ.
In fact, she prepares all these things right from the morning and waiting for Bhagavan.
ఇంకా ఏమడుగుతాడో ఏమో అని భయం పాపం సుబ్బమ్మకు.
Because she was not sure what Swami would ask.
సుబ్బమ్మ, నీవేం భయపడనక్కర్లేదు.
And Bhagavan said, Subbamma, don't fear.
నీ యొక్క భక్తి ప్రపత్తులు భవిష్యత్తులో ఇతరులకు చెప్పాలనే ఉద్దేశంతోనే నేను ఇన్ని ప్రశ్నలు వేశాను.
I asked these questions. I have put these questions because in future the world should know your sincerity of devotion.
అప్పుడు తర్వాత స్వామి, మీరు తీసుకున్నారు కానీ నాకు కొంచెం వడ్డించండి అనింది పాపం.
Bhagavan, you accepted, but kindly serve little to me.
అప్పుడు నేనే ఇడ్లీని ఓ చట్నీతో అద్ది కొంతవరకు ఆమె నోట్లో పెట్టాను.
And Swami served her idli along with chutney.
There was one lady who actually invited Swami and said, Swami, if you don't discriminate between anybody, please come and partake food in my house. And Swami would narrate in his discourse how this lady invited, and she was frying vadas. Vadas is a South Indian savory specialty which is fried, dough fried in oil. She made vadas for Swami, but she poisoned those vadas. And even as Swami was partaking it, Subbamma, who got to know this, came rushing. And she saw that the damage had been done because Swami had already eaten the vadas. She cried out, "Oh, yo, Swami, what have you done? Swami, what have you done?" Swami said, "Don't worry, Subhamma, don't worry." And then Swami, after having partaken the entire vadas at that home, comes out and one by one removes the vadas as they were. How foolish of the lady. Here is the Lord who held the alahala in his throat, who drank the poison that could destroy the entire universe. What is a few drops of poison for him? But then, in the avataric mission, the Lord does human actions according to the situation. He said, "Subhamma, people are targeting me. And because you are close to me, they will target you also. So, for your own safety and good, I will stay away from your house. I will stay somewhere else." And Subhamma could not bear this. She had a small piece of land outside the village. And a small hut was built for Swami. And that is where he began to reside.
And you could say that that was the first mandir of Swami, because it was a very small hut where Swami alone used to stay. One night, when Swami was sleeping inside that hut, a few of these people got together and they set fire to that hut. And they hid behind bushes. The rest of the village got to know that the hut in which young Satyam was staying was up in flames. They all came running, but by then it was too late. The flame was up and it was engulfing that hut and anything that could have been inside it. They found that one cloud came right above the hut and rained exactly where the hut was. Nowhere else in the village it was raining only above the hut. The fire was put off. And Swami came out smiling as ever. The rest of the villagers caught these boys who set flame to this hut, and they were brought before Swami. And these are the opportunities Swami seizes. When others try to pounce on you and blame you and try to take you to task, Swami reprimands lovingly. Swami forgives because Swami says there is no tool which is more powerful than that. So Swami looks at these boys and he says that all said and done, they wanted to harm me, but they had a good nature in them. Because they felt that nobody should be taking us for a ride. There are other gullible people, they should not be taken for a ride. They really wanted to test me. I am here open to anybody's test. So I am not upset with them. If you really love me, if you really revere me, please forgive them. And they were forgiven, and needless to say, with time they became confidants of Swami. They became the early devotees of this little Satyam.
In the meanwhile, there was one Chidghanananda Swami in nearby Kottacheru. He was a spiritual personage. So he came to Puttaparthi and he told Swami's parents, "See, if you don't mind, your son is not ordinary. He has got some special powers and siddhis which should be channelized properly. Then he has great potential. I have got an ashram over here. Let me take him as my disciple. After me, he can take over my ashram." This was the offer made by Chidghananda Maharaj, and the parents were unnerved by this. They were taken aback. So at first they just refused because they wanted some time to think, and they sent away Chidghananda Maharaj. The Karnam had already passed away by then. Karnam Kamalamma went to Karnam Subhamma and she told her co-sister that, "Sister, our husband's wish was that he wanted to build a temple for the Lord. You know something? They are going to take away our Satyam. They are taking away our Swami because offers are coming from Kottacheru, far away Kottacheru. If we don't do something, we will lose Swami forever. The land that we have earmarked for the temple, let us offer this land to Swami." That was the suggestion she made. Karnam Subhamma immediately agreed.
Interestingly, this is a copy of that sale deed which was finally made, because it had to be registered in Swami's name. So the description of the land was given, and it said that this land, so-and-so, saying Karnam Subhamma and Karnam Kamalamma, we are giving it to Satyanarayana Raju, who is, it says, the temporary head of the Satya Sai Baba Matam. So it is being written to him with a registration of 12 paise for the land which is worth 50 rupees. So that was a land which was given to him, and very beautifully worded in a sale document, in a sale deed. It is written, this is given to Swami to use for his mandir for the benefit of all the devotees who will come to visit him. What our lineage will get out of it will be only the punyam which comes out of doing this good deed. Nobody will have any rights over the property or anything which would come thereof. Sometimes God also, he would go to Subhamma and ask, Subhamma, cheppu niki em kavali cheppu. Tell me, Subhamma, what do you want? She would say, Swami, I don't want anything. She would say, no, Subhamma, you ask me for something, I will give you. And she would say, Swami, you gave me the boon that I don't have any children of my own. She said, you gave me the boon that I have not mothered any children. And because of that boon, I could look up to you as my own child. What more can I ask for, Swami? But Swami would say, what Swami would say is, I am indebted to you.
కానీ ఆమెకు ఒక్క కోరిక మాత్రం ఉండేటువంటిది.
But she had one desire.
స్వామి, నా అంత్య సమయం లోపల తమ హస్తముల ద్వారా నా నోటిలో నీరు పోయాలి అని కోరేటువంటిది.
She desired and prayed to Swami that Bhagavan should be there by her side when the last moment approaches, and that he should make her sip water.
తప్పక నేను ఆనాడు మాట ఇచ్చాను.
Bhagavan promised.
ఈ మాట ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత 6 సంవత్సరముల తర్వాత నేను మెడ్రాస్కు వెళ్ళాను.
6 years passed. Bhagavan had been to Madras.
ఆమెకి ఎట్టి జబ్బును లేకుండా క్షేమంగానే ఉంటుండాలి.
She was very healthy with no ailments whatsoever.
ఆమె ఈ చింతను కూడా మర్చిపోయినది.
She had no thoughts of this nature.
నేను 3 దినములు అక్కడ ఉన్న తర్వాత నేను తిరిగి వచ్చేసాను.
Bhagavan stayed there for 3 days and returned.
వచ్చి కారులో వచ్చాను.
He returned in his car.
కారులో వచ్చి బుక్కపట్నంలో దిగి నేను అక్కడి నుంచి నేరుగా పుట్టపర్తికి వస్తున్నాను.
Bhagavan got down there near Bukkapatnam and was reaching Puttaparthi straight away from there.
కానీ ఆ రోడ్డు లోపల జనం చాలా చింతగా ఉంటున్నారు.
But some people were noticed on the wayside who were feeling very sad.
నేను అప్పుడు ఆ రోడ్డు లోపలనే జట్కా బండిలో కూర్చొని వస్తున్నాను.
Bhagavan was traveling by Jetka, present in those days, and was reaching Puttaparthi.
అప్పుడు కార్లు కూడా పుట్టపర్తికి వచ్చేటువంటివి కాదు.
In those days, even cars didn't have access to this place.
అప్పుడు బండిలో వస్తుంటే మాట్లాడుకుంటూ ఆ బండి తోడేటువంటి ఒక వ్యక్తి, స్వామి మీకు తెలియదా అన్నాడు.
While Bhagavan was on his way to Puttaparthi, that Jetkawala told Bhagavan, don't you know this?
ఏమిటి అని నేను ప్రశ్నించాను.
Swami asked, what is it?
కరణం సుబ్బమ్మ రాత్రి దేహాన్ని వదిలింది.
And he said, Karanam Subbamma breathed her last night.
ఆమె ప్రాణము పోయేంత వరకు కూడాను సాయిరామ్ 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 అనేటువంటి నామాన్ని మాత్రం స్మరిస్తూ ఉంది.
She went on chanting Bhagavan's name till the last breath.
కట్టగడపటికి ఎప్పుడు పోయిందో ఏమో ఎవరికి తెలియదు.
But no one ever knew when she actually died.
తర్వాత తెల్లవారేటప్పటికి తల్లి, తమ్ముళ్ళు, అన్నలు అందరూ పిలిచి ఈమెను సహగమనం చేయటం కోసమని తీసుకుపోవడానికి సిద్ధం చేశారు.
Next morning, however, her sisters and brothers, then kith and kin, arrived there and they were making arrangements for the funeral.
ఆనాడు పల్లెలు కనుక అన్ని రెడీమేడ్ చిక్కేటువంటివి కాదు.
In those days, things were not readily available.
ఏదో అక్కడ ఇక్కడ కట్టెలు తయారు చేసుకొని కట్టెలు మోసుకుంటూ శ్మశానానికి వెళుతున్నారు.
They had to collect firewood from different spots and the body was taken to that funeral place.
కానీ సుబ్బమ్మ ఇప్పుడు ఎక్కడున్నది అన్నాను.
And Bhagavan asked, where is Subbamma?
వారి తల్లిగారింట్లోనే వరండాలో పెట్టారు స్వామి డెడ్ బాడీని అన్నారు.
And the answer that man gave was this: the body was there resting at the residence of her mother in the veranda.
నేను గట్టిగా నవ్వాను.
Swami laughed loudly.
నేను ఆమెకి ఇచ్చిన మాటను నేను మరువలేదు, తాను మరువలేదు, కనుక తాను ఇంకా ప్రాణం పోలేదు అని నాలో నేను తలుచుకుంటున్నాను.
Swami has not forgotten the promise given to her, and she too also is quite mindful of the promise received from Bhagavan. So it is clear that she has not died.
నేను నేరుగా ఆ బండిని సుబ్బమ్మ ఇంటికి తీసుకుని పోయాను.
And Swami went straight to the residence of Subbamma.
అక్కడ పోయి వరండాలో పోయేటప్పటికి అందరూ ఏడుస్తున్నారు.
There, as Swami arrived there, he noticed many people crying.
స్వామి కడపటి వరకు తమను తలుచుకుంటూనే వెళ్ళింది సుబ్బమ్మ అన్నారు.
They all said in one voice that Subbamma left her body thinking of Swami till the last moment.
ఎక్కడ పోయింది అన్నా నేను తెలియనట్టుగా.
Swami innocently has put this question: where has she gone?
అది ఎక్కడ పోయిందో మాకు తెలీదు, ఆమెలో ప్రాణం లేదు.
They said where she has gone we do not know, but she is not alive.
డాక్టర్స్ అందరూ చూచారు.
Doctors examined.
ఆనాడు బ్రాహ్మణులు కనుక వాడు ఎవరిని దగ్గర చేర్చలేదు.
Brahmins in those days didn't allow anybody to come close to them.
ఒళ్ళంతా చీమలు పట్టినాయి.
And the body is full of ants all around.
కప్పినటువంటి ఒక దుప్పటి తీసి పారవేశారు.
And the blanket covering the body was removed.
ఒళ్ళంతా చీమలు.
And the body is full of ants all around.
అప్పుడు నేను దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి సుబ్బమ్మ సుబ్బమ్మ అని పిలిచాను.
Bhagavan went close to the body and said, Subbamma, Subbamma.
కనులు తెరిచింది.
She opened her eyes.
నన్ను చూచింది.
She looked at Bhagavan.
నన్ను చూచింది, కంటి నిండుకు నీరు పెట్టుకుంది.
She saw Swami with her eyes full of tears.
స్వామి ఎప్పుడు వచ్చారు అని ప్రశ్నించింది.
She asked Swami, when did you come?
ఇప్పుడే వచ్చాను సుబ్బమ్మ అన్నాను.
And Bhagavan said, Subbamma, I have come just
ఆమె
now.
కన్నులు తెరిచి స్వామి వైపును చూస్తూ మాట్లాడుతూ ఉండేటప్పటికి తన సోదరులు, తన సిస్టర్స్, తన తల్లి గబగబా ఇంటి లోపల దూరారు.
As she was conversing with Swami, in the meantime, all her brothers and sisters came closer.
ఎందుకంటే స్వామికి వంటలు చేయాలా అని.
Because they were all there to make preparations for Swami.
నాకు వంటలతో పని లేదమ్మా.
Swami said, I am not bothered about it.
సుబ్బమ్మను చూడటానికి వచ్చాను.
I have come here to see Subbamma.
ఆమెను చూచాను.
I have seen her.
నేను ఇక నేరుగా పుట్టపర్తికి పోవచ్చు.
And I can go straight to Puttaparthi now.
తెరిచి చేయి పట్టుకొని సుబ్బమ్మ ఏం తలుచుకుంటున్నావు అని ప్రశ్నించాను.
Swami caught hold of hand and said, Subbamma, what is it you are thinking about?
సాయిరామ్ 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 అనుకుంటున్నాను స్వామి అనింది.
And Subbamma replied, Swami, I am only saying Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai
నా
Ram.
దగ్గర ఉన్నటువంటి ఒక కర్చీఫ్ తీసి ఆమె కంటి దారాలు తుడిచారు.
And Swami, with his kerchief, wiped out her tears.
తుడిచినప్పటికీ ఆమె ఇంకను నవ్వుతూ వచ్చేసింది.
And she was smiling.
స్వామి ఇప్పటికైనా తాము చెప్పినటువంటి మాట జ్ఞప్తి అందు ఉంది కదా అంది.
Bhagavan, you still remember the promise you made to me?
ఆమె చేయి తీసి నా చేయి పట్టుకుంది.
And then she caught hold of Swami's hand.
స్వామి ఎంతటి మరుపు లేదు మీకు, ఈ ఎరుకంతా కూడాను మీకు ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చింది?
Swami, you never forget. How is that you have got that remembrance?
చెప్పిన మాట తప్పేటువంటి వాడు కాదు సత్యసాయి.
Satya Sai will never break the promise given.
తన పేరే సత్యం.
His name verily is Satya.
చెప్పినంతా కూడా సత్యమే కానీ అసత్యంగా మారదు.
Whatever that is declared is truth, nothing but truth.
చేయి తీసుకుంది, తన నొసట వ్రాత వేసుకుంది.
And she kept the palm of Bhagavan on her forehead.
నేను అప్పుడు విభూతి తీశాను, ఆమెకు నొసట వ్రాసాను.
Bhagavan materialized vibhuti for her and smeared it on her forehead.
ఇంకా సుబ్బమ్మ నువ్వు క్షేమంగా కన్ను మూసుకో.
And Bhagavan said, Subbamma, you can be so peaceful.
నీకు ఇంతవరకు ఏ చింత ఉండినాదో ఆ చింత ఇప్పుడు తీరింది.
All that you have been worrying and thinking about, that promise, it is fulfilled now.
స్వామి లేడే అనేటువంటి చింత నీకు ఎక్కువ బాధ పెడుతూ ఉండినది. ఈనాడు స్వామిని చూచావు, స్వామి మాటలు విన్నావు, స్వామి చేయి పట్టావు.
You are very much worried that you have to leave at a time when Swami is not here, that you could not talk to him, that you could not have a sip of water as promise given earlier. Now you could have all of them.
నేను అప్పుడు సుబ్బమ్మతో చెప్పాను, సుబ్బమ్మ నేను ఇంక పుట్టపర్తికి వెళ్ళొస్తాను అన్నాను.
Then Bhagavan said, Subbamma, I will now go to Puttaparthi.
మంచిది స్వామి, మంచిది.
She said, yes, Swami, yes.
నన్ను కూడా ఎక్కడ పంపాలో అక్కడ పంపించేసి మీరు పుట్టపర్తి చేరండి అనింది.
She said, Bhagavan, send me to that place where I have got to be sent, and then you leave this place.
నాకు ఆ మాట చెప్పింది, కన్ను మూసుకుంది.
So saying, she closed her eyes.
They say that the way a person dies shows the way a person has lived his or her life. And just by knowing how Karnam Subbamma passed away itself, we can realize what a kind of life she led. A person who seeks God redeems 7 generations before him, 7 generations after him. And when Brother Prem was narrating how the sale deed was made, I just felt that Karnam Subbamma and Kamalamma even put it on print, that what we seek in exchange for this land is all the punyam that comes, which redeems not only us, but all our generations. Our salutations to this Yashoda of our Satya Sai, Karnam Subbamma. We pray that our heart too is filled with such love, devotion and dedication to our Swami.